Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. Good evening. Good day. Hope you can hear me well. We are glad to welcome everyone. My name is Christian Böttger. I'm the Global Sales Director from SIMETRA company. Today, we are broadcasting from St. Petersburg. I'm broadcasting from St. Petersburg. We have some external speakers. St. Petersburg is the second capital from Russia, is called sometimes the cultural capital of Russia or the gate to Europe for Russia. So I will be the moderator for today's Russian-Indian online conference on the intelligent transport systems. At the online conference, speakers from Russia and India will tell about ITS development in their countries and projects of successful practical implementations of ITS. Some basic information about the event. Our conference will be last about 3 hours, and we are proud to present to you 7 speakers from Russia and India. I hope that will be interesting with interesting contents for you, and that we will start some first step to have a discussion between Russia and India about ITS implementations. While our speakers are now preparing, feel free to subscribe to our social media. In LinkedIn, that's we are running in English. We have some Facebook and YouTube, but there's Russian, so you can exercise your Russian language if you like. The links will be available now in the chat. Thank you, colleagues. Feel free to ask questions to the speakers. So use please the chat, which is presented in YouTube. So just write your questions, and hopefully I will get your question and address it to the speaker right in the moment after the presentation of this dedicated speaker. So feel free to send me these questions through YouTube, and hopefully we can answer you together with the speaker. So let's start with the event, with our conference. First, welcome speech will be held from Timur Vikilov. He is the head of the representative office from the Russian Export Center in India. So he is quite on the bridge between India and Russia, and he will tell us a bit about the intention of our partnership. So Timur, I hope you are ready. Yeah, please switch on your microphone.
Yes, I'm ready, but microphone was off.
Okay, so I'll hand over now the speech to Timur. So for our participants, all the information will be as well recorded, and later maybe you can just view on YouTube this presentation. So yeah, please, Timur, start with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys, for inviting me, and welcome everyone here. So that's a great event from my point of view, because Russia and India, so it's a really big friends. So that the companies has friendship history is very long, and it continues luckily. And what I would say that Russian Center, so it's a government organization which supports export from Russia, and we explore and expand our relationship between the companies, and we build the relationship between the companies between 2 countries. And this is very important because Russia and India, so the 2 economies which are developing very significantly, and so Russia has experience in solving some problems, and so this experience may be shared with the Indian companies. And so this is a very good example, company SIMETRA, which made quite a lot of very significant projects in Russia for ITS, and this is a very good right now opportunity for you to get acquainted with this experience and with these projects, and to get some maybe knowledge and apply it in India. So through the partnership with SIMETRA, and you will see that this definitely will lead your country, so India, so to some kind of solving the problem, and that means success. So I would like to wish all the participants best, of course, and to have a very productive time right now, so within this event. And welcome again. So please continue, so that my blessings and all the best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Timo, thank you very much for your speech and for your welcome speech. And yeah, we see the same as we should go together and develop ITS solutions with Indian companies and with Indian universities and so on. So next speech I think will be very interesting for our Indian colleagues to understand what is happening in the Russian markets about ITS, which path we already got through, what is the situation at the moment, what is the government, what is the aims for the future, what are the goals. And for this, to get this, to get a very good overview of this situation, we invited Sultan Zhenkaziev from the Moscow Automobile and Road Construction State Technical University, MADI. He's the head of the Department of Road Traffic Management and Safety. He's there teaching as a professor, and as well he's the president of the Association of Traffic Engineers here in Russia. And he would like to present to you the development of ITS in Russian Federation. So Sultan Zhenkaziev, he will do his speech in Russian, but my colleague will translate the speech into English, so you will get the experience even twice. So Sultan Vladimirovich, please.
Thank you, Christian. Good morning, guests and participants of this online Indian-Russian conference dedicated of development of ITS in Russian Federation and ITS solutions all around the world. And as we have very professional translator and interpreter, I will speak in Russian, if you don't mind. Доброе утро, участники конференции. Я вас всех приветствую на этой конференции. У меня небольшой доклад, связанный с тем, как выглядит сегодня процессы развития проектов ИТС в Российской Федерации. И у меня для этого есть презентация, она на английском языке. Я буду говорить по-русски, но у нас есть замечательный профессиональный переводчик, который будет переводить.
Hello, everybody. Once again, greetings to the conference. I'll give you a short presentation about the state of the art of ITS in the Russian Federation. So I will give a presentation in Russian, but you will get the translation.
Есть несколько направлений, которые являются приоритетными для обсуждения. Первое направление в развитии ИТС в Российской Федерации – это система государственного регулирования, как выстроены государственные приоритеты. Второе – это то, как реализуются региональные проекты. Далее хотелось бы рассказать про стандартизацию, и на последнем этапе это меры, которые нам видятся первостепенными на перспективу по развитию проектов ИТС.
There are several discussions, there are several directions of ITS development to discuss. So first of all, we will and discuss the state regulations in the field of ITS. Later on, the implementation of the ITS regional project programs. Then we speak about standardization in the field of ITS, and we summarize the presentation with some necessary measures for the prospective development of ITS in Russia.
До 2018 года развитие проектов ИТС было в сфере интересов руководителей субъектов, городов, агломераций. С 2018 года развитие проектов ИТС стало государственной задачей.
Prior to 2018, the development of ITS systems was a prerogative of regional authorities. But since 2018, the Russian state decided to pay attention on the ITS development.
В 2018 году появилось распоряжение правительства, которое утвердило план мероприятий по развитию проектов Автонет. Это национальная технологическая инициатива, связанная с продвижением всех инновационных проектов.
Since 2018, when the government decree set a roadmap for ITS development in Russia, it started the national project Автонет.
Одним из главных пунктов развития приоритетных направлений в рамках Автонета было развитие технологий интеллектуальных транспортных систем.
One of the main goals of the Автонет project was to develop the ITS.
Другим важным направлением является большое внимание государства к сервисам подключенных и беспилотных автомобилей. И это внимание государства реализовано было в постановлении правительства 14-15-18 года.
Another focus was on the autonomous vehicles and their functionality on the public roads, and there was another decree from the government in the same year.
В рамках этого постановления целый ряд регионов, на сегодняшний день их 14, были объявлены зоной пилотного тестирования беспилотности и высокоавтоматизированных транспортных средств, и сегодня в каждом из регионов уже реализуются свои проекты.
In the frames of this project, 14 regions started a pilot project of testing autonomous vehicles.
В рамках этого решения также параллельно предъявлялись требования к развитию инфраструктуры ИТС.
In parallel, there were directions to develop the infrastructure for further development of ITS.
Но главным документом, который на сегодняшний день определяет государственную политику в сфере ИТС, является национальный проект «Безопасные и качественные дороги». Он запущен с 2019 года, и его основная задача – создать в больших городах численностью больше 300 тысяч жителей единые типовые проекты ИТС.
But the main document for ITS regulation from the state was the start of the national project called Safe and High Quality Roads. The main idea of this project was to develop the ITS, to deliver ITS to all cities in Russia which have population over 300,000 people. And this implementation of this project started from the year 2020.
Таким образом, были сформированы требования к региональным проектам ИТС. Их 6 групп.
Several requirements for the regional projects of ITS were developed. There are 6 groups.
Я по порядку расскажу, что главное здесь – это определение тех регионов, в которых государство может финансировать создание проектов ИТС. Главным требованием является возможность софинансирования со стороны государства. Таким образом определяется размер государственных субсидий.
First of all, the most important thing was to define the regions who deserve the funding from the state, because another issue of this project and to implement this project, the regions have to provide some co-funding along with the federal budget.
Стоимость заявки определяется в соответствии с анализом, который проводит регион, и размер государственной поддержки не превышает размера, который привлекает субъект для софинансирования.
The sum of funding is defined by the sum of the co-financing from the region, and it cannot exceed this sum. So the overall amount of money is defined by, let's say, 50-50, which 50 comes from the region and another half comes from the federal government.
В Министерстве транспорта была создана группа экспертов, которая разработала методику, и в соответствии с этой методикой были разработаны программы, паспорта региональных проектов и порядок финансирования.
The methodology and for the implementation of these projects was developed along with other documents.
В целом, на сегодняшний день количество проектов связано с количеством регионов. У нас в России всего 85 регионов. Из них 3 региона не могут претендовать. Это Москва, Московская область и город Санкт-Петербург.
In general, this project of ITS development was supposed for 85 regions in Russian Federation, but 3 of them cannot participate due to the program conditions.
82 региона могут участвовать. На сегодняшний день, вот на текущую дату, подано 56 заявок от 56 регионов, одобрено 22, в режиме ожидания принятия решения 8, ну и не смогли подготовить заявку около 20 регионов.
The rest 82 can participate, and for today, 56 applications were received, and by now, 22 of them were approved. 8 of them are pending, and 20 failed with the document fulfillment.
Сама методология представлена здесь, она связана с тем, что регион должен подготовить заявку по той методике, которую Министерство транспорта предложило регионам. Дальше регионы направляют свою заявку в Федеральное дорожное агентство, которое одобряет эту заявку в Министерстве транспорта, и дальше либо эта заявка поддерживается, либо отклоняется.
Well, here you see the general structure, the general plan of this application process. So first of all, the region has to create an application according to the methodology. Then it sends it to the Federal Road Agency, where the expertise occurs. And after that, the application could be approved or sent for additional work, and probably for further reassembling.
Есть рекомендуемые сценарии развития региональных проектов. Вот оптимальный сценарий считается, что вместе с федеральным финансированием есть региональный уровень финансирования и есть возможность привлекать средства бизнеса в том случае, если бизнес активно участвует в сервисах мобильности в регионе.
There is a set of optimal ITS development routes in Russian Federation. So the main idea is to cooperate the means of business of the federal government and regional authorities, and this cooperative work may lead to successful implementation of ITS.
Ну, была возможность спрогнозировать рост бизнеса и рост средств инвестирования со стороны негосударственных структур. Здесь приведены значения. Это прогноз на конец 2020 года. Актуальные значения появятся в конце 2021 года, но даже в этом прогнозе видно, что предполагается значительное соинвестирование со стороны негосударственных структур.
You can see some forecasting values, some costs for these projects. The prices are for the end of 2020, but soon we will get the values and assumptions for the current year, and we can see the potential of cooperation of business and government.
Параллельно проводится большая работа по стандартизации в сфере интеллектуальных транспортных систем. В 2018 году в эту сферу вовлекался только один технический комитет, 57-й, он называется «Интеллектуальные транспортные системы». На сегодняшний день еще 3 технических комитета соучаствуют в процессе стандартизации.
Another big issue in the ITS development is the process of standardization. So prior to 2018, only one expert group was working on this, while from year 2018, 3 committees already started to improve the standardization.
Здесь видно, как развивалась система стандартизации. Красная зона – это те группы стандартов, которые мы были вынуждены переводить и принимать как переведенные, полностью идентичные. Синяя зона – это группа стандартов, которые надо было создавать свои, но которые надо было обязательно гармонизировать с международными. А зеленая группа – это резидентные стандарты, которые нужны резидентному бизнесу в России. И здесь видно, что с 2015 по 2021 год красная зона значительно убывала, то есть российская система стандартизации становилась более развитой.
You can see here on the slide the evolution of the standards approved for ITS, and we can divide those standards on 3 groups. So by colors, you can see the red one is state for international standards, which were translated and adopted to Russia, while the blue one stays for some kind of intermediate state when you have to develop some of your own ideas, but partially they were borrowed from Western standards. And the green one are the standards which are necessary for a resident business. And you see with the time, the number of red is declining.
Здесь видно, что система стандартизации в России становится более актуальной и более востребованной, в том числе со стороны участников бизнеса.
And we can see that the importance of standardization from business and business participation is increasing with time.
Я имею отношение к работе 2 технических комитетов, вхожу в состав разработчиков, и нам удалось сформировать перспективный план стандартизации. Вот здесь видно, что сегодня к разработке принято 73 уже, на самом деле, на сегодняшний день стандарта. Из них 49 стандартов будут делаться с учетом зарубежных стандартов и 22 уникальных российских.
Me, myself, I work in 2 expertise group, and we developed the standards for ITS in Russia. And by now, we already have developed 73, not 71 as stated in the presentation, but 73. And among those 73 standards, 49 are based on the foreign methodics. So Russia is chasing, and the rest one are the unique standards. So it's innovative.
73 стандарта – это горизонт 2024 года. До 2030 года планируется больше 200, но программа стандартизации актуализируется каждый год.
We accept to have more than 2,000 standards accepted by 2030, and each year we review the situation.
Министерство транспорта разрабатывает государственную политику в рисковой модели. И важно понимать, какие риски будут, если государство отстанет в темпах или менее эффективно будет развивать систему государственного регулирования в области ИТС.
Of course, one has to consider the risk assessments. What can happen when the government will not help the process so efficiently?
Здесь выделено 6 групп, на самом деле их 12, но мы их укрупнили в 6, и главным вызовом является то, что целый ряд зарубежных лучших практик требует серьезной адаптации для применения их в России. Это первый пункт.
So, in general, we have 6 group of challenges which we have to overcome. So, first of all, it's clear that not every successful practice which is accepted in West can be realized with the same efficiency in Russia. This is the first challenge.
Дальше целый ряд групп, связанных с возможностью применения уже существующих технологий, но есть две позиции, которые связаны с географией Российской Федерации. И большая проблема связана с тем, что в целом ряде регионов бизнес от себя не мотивирован в развитии проектов ИТС, значит, в этих регионах потребуется более акцентированная государственная поддержка.
Another group of challenges goes for heterogeneity of Russia. So Russia is a big country, and the development level in different regions is different. Also, the opportunities of business in different regions also different. So sometimes you may see the lack of infrastructure, especially in the regions where it is unprofitable for business to maintain such infrastructure, and also it's hard to set the same standards for the regions with a very different development level.
Для того, чтобы упростить диалог с бизнесом, представителем бизнеса, была адаптирована функциональная архитектура региональных проектов ИТС до уровня, когда бизнес понимает свое место. И вот последний пункт – это формирование требований к закупкам. По сути, это разговор на языке бизнеса, чтобы бизнес понимал, каким образом государство выводит из своей зоны контроля, из своей зоны приоритетов, выводит эту задачу до уровня бизнес-интересов.
So to improve the impact of business participation, the state formed a special plan and the structure of the cooperation with the business. So to speak with the business on the same language, and actually it's kind of a list of procurement requirements for business to make the process of this cooperation between the government and business easier.
В этой работе учитываются специфические особенности регионов, их местоположение, особенности транспортного спроса, мобильности, включая туристические транзиты. Каждый регион с этой точки зрения прошел свою классификацию и аналитическую оценку.
Of course, for any region, this assumption, this assessment was done separately. We considered the region size, the population, the mobility of population, and other economical, qualitative and quantitative indicators.
Таким образом, были предложены позиции по актуализации и развитию проектов ИТС в России до 2030 года.
Summarizing all the data, we proposed several statements to further improve the ITS development in Russia by 2030.
Ну, очень важно то, что на основе приобретенного опыта и на основе уже развернутой системы стандартизации должна появиться нормативно-правовая регуляторика.
So first of all, based on our experience, it is clear for now that one has to develop the special legislation in the field of ITS, so-called ITS law.
Закон об интеллектуальных транспортных системах в достаточно проработанной версии уже сейчас готовится, и мы имеем к этой разработке самое прямое отношение.
The development of this law is on very fine stage, so soon we hope to propose this to the government.
Также в сфере государственного регулирования находится создание сети центров компетенции с верхним уровнем центра компетенции, который сегодня находится пока в Министерстве транспорта.
Also, there is a need of creation of a competence center of the national ITS network, so on the whole federal level.
Дальше очень важно, конечно, установить дорожную карту стандартизации и создание сети полигонов.
It's also important to set a roadmap and the network of the polygons, testing sites for pilot projects.
Также в результате исследований, которые были проведены, было определено, что по мере повышения цифровизации в сфере управления мобильностью все большее значение приобретает специфика региона.
Well, analyzing the data we received, we understood that the special analysis is of paramount importance for any region. So the more you detail your analysis for any region, the better outcome you'll get.
Ну, исходя из этого, были уже фактически предъявлены требования к инфраструктуре дороги, к цифровым активам и к транспортным средствам, если мы уже смотрим на беспилотное вождение, сервисы подключенных автомобилей. Стало понятно, что в этих задачах у России свой путь.
Taking into account the development of autonomous vehicles, we already prepared the standards and the directions of further development of such technologies in Russia. And we understand by now that Russia has its own way and the potential in this field.
Таким образом, выстроена уже система стимулирования разработки инновационных проектов и продуктов в сфере цифровых дорожных карт, в сфере беспилотного вождения, кооперативных ИТС, а также в сфере цифровой информационной безопасности.
The special stimulation system was created in several directions, like local digital maps, like autonomous driving, cooperative ITS, and digital and information security. These funds were created to accelerate the process of ITS development and implementation.
Ну и для того, чтобы эта работа велась на большую стратегическую перспективу, фактически уже создается кадровая политика и кадровая стратегия, в регионах в том числе.
Of course, the successful implementation is impossible without the experts, with the trained personnel. So the set of regional training centers is about to be created.
Подготовка кадров на сегодняшний день является главным стратегическим трендом для России.
Building of the expertise in this field is and making the creation of the experts is the central way of Russian development of ITS.
В завершение хочется сказать, что вместе с формированием системы государственного регулирования параллельно очень активно и с высоким темпом развивается бизнес, и бизнес уже фактически ждет, когда он сможет полноценно участвовать и в разработках инновационных продуктов для управления мобильностью, и в системе государственного регулирования.
Along with the state, the business itself reached the very high level of understanding and expertise in the field of ITS, and it just waits for the chance to participate in this development process.
Это краткая информация о статусе государственного регулирования в области внедрения проектов ИТС, но на самом деле эта информация гораздо шире.
This is a short presentation about the ITS development in Russia, but of course the real picture is much more deep, but it's not the subject of this presentation.
Я уверен, что будет много вопросов, я готов на них ответить и в реальном времени, или если кто-то посчитает нужным модератору их предоставить в течение недолгого времени после нашей конференции, я на них отвечу.
If there is any question, I would like to answer it.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much.
Sultan Ragaziv, thank you very much for your presentation. There At the moment, no questions yet, but I think it's no problem. We're in a close contact if the question will appear a bit later, and I think we will try to send it to you and to find an answer. By the way, Sultan Jankaziev, he is president of the Association of Transport Engineers here in Russia, as I told. As you can see as well, I'm as well the participant of this association, and we are really interested to promote the approach of transport planning, the approach of transport modeling, the approach of ITS for management transport systems. And we are delivering or translating interesting books from English, from German. We are providing as well conferences to spread information, to discuss informations, to produce new documents to use it here in the Russian-speaking markets or countries. So by the way, that's not only Russia, of course, it's as well Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and so on. They are all very close to the situation here in Russia. And thank you very much, Sultan Jankaziev, that you presented about the situation ITS here in Russia. I think that is a good introduction for the participants from India to understand what has happened in this field here in Russia.
Thank you very much, Christian. Thank you.
Okay, so if there will be questions, we will give them to you and try to answer. And I think we should shift over to hand over to the next presentation. Now we will have a presentation from India. I see Ayush Agrawal from ITS Planners and Engineers is already with us. Ayush Agrawal, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yes, I can hear you too. That's very good. I think that is good to start. It's quite silent here at the moment yet, but I hope try to speak louder. Thank you very much that you are ready to take part with a presentation at this conference. So I hope you already enjoyed this presentation from Professor Jankaziev. Mr. Ayush Agrawal, he is the Chief Commercial Officer of the Indian company ITS Planners and Engineers, and he will present us now from the Indian side, from the experts from India who is working there, who is dealing there with ITS, how are intelligent transport system deployed in India. So please feel free now to show your presentation. You should switch on your presentation. Okay, nice, can see it. So then, start. Welcome, and hope we get questions.
Yeah, thank you, Christian, for inviting me to this presentation. So I'll be brief. I'll quickly cover what is going on in India and how we are trying to sort of provide some more solutions to India. ITS, as we all know, that it is a relatively new field in India. People have been trying to deploy technologies, but there was not much development in India, which has changed very recently. So I will try to give an idea on what the future looks like for India. So I will start with the presentation. So this is the rough outline. I'll give just a brief introduction of who we are and what we do. Then we will quickly just look at the history of ITS in India. What is the current scenario of ITS? What is the focus area of the authorities? And what are the challenges faces in deploying such systems? And what do we expect in future, and how we are sort of planning to do that? And we'll quickly touch upon what we have done till date in ITS. So starting with the introduction, our company ITSP is a technology-driven company. We are developing various solutions which cater to the requirement of ITS fields in India and UK. So we have deployed solutions in India vastly, but we have presence in UK, and we have done consultancy projects in Middle East as well. We are starting to do some bit of work in US as well, and we are trying to do some tie-ups over there. The team is driven by Dr. Rajesh Krishnan. He has a PhD from Imperial College, and he has worked for TfL as well, Transport for London, and due to his work experience in multiple related domains, he felt that it is very important to improve such situations, IT situation in India as well. And that's why he came here and started this company in 2011. We also work with Dr. Mark Peddle, who is based out of UK. He's looking after UK operations, and he's mainly responsible for the hardware. And I typically take care of all the commercial and the day-to-day business activities. So if we talk about history of ITS in India, history is not that much, because ITS is a upcoming field in India, because earlier there were few installations. So in 1982, Signals was sort of installed in Delhi for Asiad Games, modern Signals. Before that, we just had basic fixed time signals. In 2000s, we tried deploying scoots in New Delhi. Eventually, it didn't work out well. So that system was deployed only for a year. Itaka system were deployed in Mumbai, which was supposed to be the advanced traffic controllers. But again, those are also not working on an automated mode. Majority of them are run on a fixed time mode. And in 2000s, there was an interest from NHAI to deploy advanced ITS solution on highways as well. In 2010, a government agency in India called CDAC, they developed a solution for optimizing the traffic signal timings over a set of junctions. So their technology is called COSI-COS. So that technology was deployed in Jaipur, Pune, Kolkata. The enforcement systems start getting developed, and in the late half 2010, when the new government of from Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi came in, the Smart City program was launched, and due to that, ITS has taken a completely new shape in India. So now what we have is, we have cities where we have a full-fledged area traffic control system, enforcement systems deployed on a large scale. Personally, our company has worked on a project where there are 150 junctions, intersections, where we have deployed our advanced systems, enforcement systems, surveillance systems. So a lot of smart cities are doing integrated traffic management systems, with the traffic management being a key part of it. And in fact, even the big cities like Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chandigarh are in the process of deploying the new age ITS systems in their cities. And as we speak, very recently, a tender from a new proposal from Chennai has been released, which is a metropolitan city of India, and it is one of the biggest ITS tender released in India till date. So something came up for Mumbai, but because of COVID situation, it got scrapped, and we are expecting it to come out again soon. But till now, Chennai is the biggest one, and this is funded by JICA. So as we see, there's a lot of momentum coming up in terms of cities, and they're deploying a lot of solution to better manage the mobility and improve the overall management of traffic within the junctions, and even regulate the driving behavior by putting enforcement system. Because in India, we see there's a lot of rule breaking in terms of driving. So a lot of cities are focusing on that. On a high level, this is the architecture which is more or less prevalent in Indian cities. So we do have various solutions like the signaling advanced signaling system, which we call ATC or ATCS in our country. There are traffic monitoring systems. Then there is a focus on putting ANPR systems a lot. So they are doing the blacklisting vehicle, catching the blacklisted vehicles, and checking which vehicles are entering the cities. They are even trying to do travel times using the ANPR data now. So a lot of focus is going on there, and there are a lot of companies which have come up and which are using AI-based vision technologies to provide better results. and enforcement has also taken up. A red light violation detection system is something which has been deployed in various cities. As far as I know, at least 60 to 70 cities in India are already using red light violation detection systems. Then speed violation is also picking up, and on highways also there are a lot of interest, because in India we do have speed limits and a lot of people are breaking in a general case. So there are big tenders sometimes on a PPP model, public-private partnerships model as well, for deploying the speed violation systems as well. Then there is travel information. This is something which is coming up that has not been matured so much, but cities are deploying the display boards, big display boards on important locations. They are trying to build up mobile applications which people can use and get the relevant data for all the traffic related or mobility related applications on a single platform. And those all things are connected to the control loom. And then there's a software, and again, there are a lot of dashboards for the authorities to view. And what happened is, because of this push in India, no one knew what ITS was in cities, because we didn't had good IT systems deployed in cities beforehand. So when we shifted to this, a lot of people didn't know how to use. But fortunately, unfortunately, this COVID happened, and all these control rooms acted as a very good platform to manage the situation during COVID. So they provided a lot of control on the ground. So the surveillance systems which have been deployed as part of ITS were used to identify whether there are any violation. The public addressing systems were used to tell people not to crowd, and even whatever incidents happening, people are able to take more preemptive actions. We personally have enabled ambulance priority or emergency vehicle priority in multiple cities. So those systems have helped during these COVID times quite a lot. When we talk of highways, NHAI is quite interested in deploying the latest ITS systems across all the highways which they own. So NHAI is the governing body in our country for all the highways, and this is a central government agency. And they have published guidelines for deploying such ITS systems. So the latest guideline is called Advanced Traffic Management System, and in that they keep on revising it every 2-3 years. So it sort of asks all the road concessionaire or whoever is building the road to deploy a certain set of hardware which are going to enhance the surveillance on the highway, are going to capture the accidents, and help in passing the information to the commuters quickly, and manage accidents in a more efficient manner. So those things have been done by NHAI, and those guidelines are something major. And we personally, as a company, we are very much dedicated towards this ATMS projects in the near future. Then what has happened is several states who also have, let's say, a few major roads under them, which have been built by the state government itself. They have also started deploying ITS on that. And what we have seen recently is that a lot of states are trying to come up with a public-private partnership model for deploying enforcement system. So there was a very huge tender from Kerala. Unfortunately, we were not able to participate, but in that model, the government has asked the bidder to deploy the enforcement systems on roughly 500 locations, and they were supposed to collect the fines and then get money out of it and pay some money to the government as well. So there's a lot of interest on that. A lot of states are showing interest in such kind of models. So on a high level, if we talk of highway, so this is the dashboard. So this is one sample dashboard. Even our dashboards have gone far beyond this. So on a highway, typically what people are looking at, what is the flow, and so they are deploying the ATCC, which is Automatic Traffic Counter Cum Classifier in India. We are doing travel times using RFID, ANPR. Then we have emergency call box. We have CCTV. We have automatic incident detection systems. we are doing situations management, that if there is any incident, so NHI is laying out some SOPs, and according to those SOPs, we have to act and take action on those accidents or events. So this is a rough dashboard. There are, again, the softwares are becoming quite big these days. As we speak, ITSP is again in part of, I think, 10 highways at this moment. So if we talk about the focus area of ITS in India, the authorities are getting interested in deploying the advanced traffic management system to reduce congestion. They want the system which can work on the ground. So lot of we have been part of multiple smart cities, and a lot of authorities, the officers which are involved with those projects, they are quite interested in seeing the outcome. What is the congestion? What is the delay which we have been able to reduce by deploying such systems? So that is quite a booming market in India. But the main thing is that someone needs to be hands-on and someone needs to make those systems work, because in India, the traffic pattern is quite different as compared to anywhere else in the world. So that has to be managed. Then there have been increasing focus on improving the adherence to the traffic rules by deploying automated enforcement systems. We are also deploying a lot of incident management system across various states, highways, or different places, and that is picking up because India, we have a lot of deaths every day related to roads. So that is something which government is focusing on these days. And lastly, there's been multiple companies and multiple interest areas in the area of deploying AI-based systems to identify various kind of alerts. So even there are companies which are working on using the existing camera feeds and deploying advanced enforcement system, and they are using ANN modules. So there are a lot of things. People are doing a lot of research on that. And there are a lot of Indian companies which have come up in this domain and trying to provide some good solutions without taking the cost that high. And that is something which Indian cities are also quite interested in. In recent tenders, let's say the tender which was concluded for Bangalore, I think there was a 50 use case of AI which was required in the RFP. So that is something which is picking up. So even starting from loitering and other stuff, if someone is doing some theft or something like that. So there are a lot of use cases which Indian government has started to define, and Indian companies are able to achieve them by several training. So then moving on to the challenges of deployment in ITS in India. There are a lot of challenges. We have personally seen those challenges. So firstly, what I feel is that there's a lot of requirement of deploying customized solutions in India. What is working, let's say a detector working in a Europe kind of environment doesn't typically work in India. We have experimented with various kind of detectors, various systems, and we have to work with everyone and customize even the logic of how they are capturing the data. Because let's say if something is a lane-based system, typically in India, we have a lane of 3.5 meter and there are 3 cars in 2 lanes. So you cannot have just a lane-based system. So in our optimization, we are using the sub-lane optimization. So that is something which is required in India. And a lot of companies do like that, because if someone is just trying to sell their solution, which they're selling outside, it typically don't come with the customization. Then the next challenge is that there's a lack of guidelines in India. There's no ITS guidelines as such. People are deploying whatever the authorities feel is good for their city or highways. They're deploying that, but there's no unified guideline, and it is leading to a lot of vendor lock-ins. So let's say if one system is deployed and you have to deploy, if you want to enhance that project, so you need to either deploy the same kind of product or you need to change all the products, all the systems, and then choose the new vendor. So those things are happening. Then definitely there's a lack of technical expertise, which this is improving, but in India, not a lot of engineers are available who are very hands-on with ITS systems and who can understand what should be deployed. There are companies who are willing to deploy, but for the government, there is not much help for them to consult them what is the best solution to deploy. So a lot of consulting teams have enhanced their teams, but I think the quality of the ITS experts is not up to mark as of now in India. That is something which will, again, I think will take 5 to 10 years, and it will come up with more installations going on in India. Then customer awareness is also a key problem. So in India, because what is happening is that there are a lot of parties in India who are trying to go after a particular project. And what happens is that customer is not knowledgeable enough to evaluate what is the difference between two components. So let's say someone is selling for 1,000 USD and someone is selling for 2,000 USD. It is quite possible that both the solutions are different, and that the costly one is providing far more features, but the government over here and the authorities over here are not that technically sound to evaluate. And again, they don't have a base. So in India, we are deploying the advanced signaling systems or advanced systems on raw junctions as well, which didn't even have a fixed time signal. So the understanding of how a signal works is not even present with the authorities. So that sort of creates a issue when we deploy the advanced system and they're not able to evaluate which solution is best for them. Then definitely with this problem, I think is there even in other countries, but there are multiple agencies with whom we have to coordinate to get the work done. So, and to attain the final solution design. So it takes a lot of time while deploying the solution. And then there is the infrastructure is not that standard, the roads constructed. Now the highway standards have improved, but the roads within the city are not that standard. And a lot of construction keeps on going, which sort of disturbs the ITS deployment. So a lot of times the cable gets cut or the connectivity failures happen. So those activities keep on happening. And again, there are local hindrances and people don't accept the systems very well. So those things is something which people have to take care. So and typically, let's say if we are doing a city, we have to spend roughly one year to make the people understand the benefit of the system, because they have not seen even the signal. So if we are deploying advanced ATC signal or a area traffic control system, then in order to make them understand that these systems are good for you, it takes a lot of time, and we need to work with the authorities to do that activity. So those are the rough challenges. The list is unending, but it doesn't mean that we should not work. So we keep on working. Talking about future of ITS in India, there's a lot of focus on standardizing ITS systems. The Indian Road Congress is currently working on coming up with the guidelines for various ITS systems. Even my CEO is the part of that committee, and he is giving consulting to the committee to how to come up with the IT standards for ITS in India. Then what cities are realizing is that they have been deploying systems independent of each other. Let's say the transit management is deployed separately, the area traffic control is deployed separately, the ANPR and several other things are deployed separately. They are not talking to each other. So there has been now an increased focus on making the systems talk to each other and enhance the efficiencies of the system. So that's why the rule engine based platforms are going to come up in demand. We have deployed such systems in 2-3 places already, and that this is something is going to come up. Even we expect that it to get related with the transit management, and then even the demand responsive transport is something which can come up in India at a huge level. So then multimodal transport systems is something which is being evaluated in various cities in India. It has not been deployed, but there has been a lot of talk about it. Even Mumbai, and especially in the city of Mumbai, the authorities are willing to experiment on how to integrate the metro with the local transport buses, and they have a Mumbai Rail as well, which is the train services which runs around 60 kilometers in one direction. So they have 2-3 such lines, and they're trying to experiment how to integrate all three and make them more efficient. Then there have been the mobility as a service has started to get discussed in India. That is going to come up in the next 5 years in a big way. And with this, a lot of metros and are also getting introduced in India. We have, I think, metros in 20-25 cities, either under construction or working. So, and with that, public transport systems are going to revamp, and the ITS in managing those systems efficiently and passing the information to the customer is the next big thing. Even there were tenders of the multimodal journey planner application for Mumbai, in which even the companies like Uber, Ola, and Google, everyone participated in the pre-bid meetings of those kind of tenders, and people feel that that is something which is going to be the next big thing in India. Mobility as a service along with public transport getting revamped. So just to quickly discuss about what we have done in India till date. So our company has deployed the area traffic control system, which is the advanced signaling, which looks at the traffic and optimizes the traffic signal timings in 14 cities. And we are in the process of deploying it in 8 more cities in India. Apart from that, we are working on 4 highway stretches, and we are under the process of deployment in 6 another stretches in India. We do have a lot of simulation expertise, and we have conducted various evaluations for clients in UK, USA. Even in for one of the clients in US, we were able to tell them that it is better to put a signal instead of making a flyover, which will cost 6 million USD. So we were able to showcase them the benefit of that using a simulation model. And we have done a big consultancy project for major roads in Doha. That was for mainly for the FIFA World Cup 2022. So we worked with Kenneth Fleming for that project, and we conducted the ITS design reviews for that. And from time to time, our company participate with a lot of government agencies to provide them traffic operations, planning service, consultancy, designing, route rationalization. So we have worked on various projects in the consulting domain as well. So that's roughly from my side. So I would be very happy if any of you guys have any questions. I would be glad to answer those.
Ayush, thank you very much for your very interesting presentation about the situation and development of ITS in India and scope of work which your company is dealing with in this part. It looks like really we have the same challenges and the same situation as we see it in Russia, and I think that really might be interesting to find common points to develop the idea of ITS in Russia and India together. As you told, yes, you said that there's not so much standards. There should be develop some standards. We got the same in Russia in the beginning. And as Mr. Jankasiv presented, we have now a very big heap of standards produced in Russia. I think it might be even too much standards, but nevertheless, maybe they might be helpful as well to you. And we will see maybe we can cooperate in this field to help India to, from the Association of Transport to find more good ideas and more good approach for standardize the ITS products. At the moment, there are no questions in the chat about your presentation. I can say yes, thank you very much. It was impressive and interesting. And I got actually the that's in India, as I said in the beginning, it's quite the same situation as we have in Russia with developing the ITS. So why not to work together? I mean, Russia and India. Yeah, thank you very much. So,
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, okay, no problem, of course. If there's no questions from the audience about the presentations, so as I told later, we intend to, if the speakers are not again, that we will spread this presentation, I mean the video to YouTube, and we will give it we will do it acceptable for you later. So maybe there will occur some questions more. Next presentation. Yeah, okay. There's one question from previous speaker from Sultan Jankazi.
Yes, if I can ask one question.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Ayush. Was very interesting presentation. My question is about the ITS community in India. I know some people, my colleagues from India, lecturers from universities. Do you have any contact with the experts in India? If we have equal, if we have the common experts who I know, you know, because I know my colleagues from University in Delhi, he is working in ITS as well. Do you know some people from scientific area in India?
Yeah, so actually those parts are taken care by my CEO, Dr. Rajesh Krishnan. So we know majorly all the ITS experts in India. So he has been working with, we have a lot of projects in collaboration with IIT Madras, IIT Mumbai. I'm personally from IIT Bombay, so I know a lot of professors from there. And we have also worked with IIT Delhi previously. So we do know the community, and we would love to discuss this separately and see how we can sort of take it forward. So I can also involve Dr. Rajesh Krishnan, and he can give you specific names of the person who he is engaging with, and then we can sort of take it forward.
Thank you very much, Ayush. I will keep your contacts. I hope we will have any opportunity to contact to talk about the ITS applications in Russia and in India, maybe, because I know some people from Russia who are very active in India. We are talking about ITS. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that was a good question, and yeah, I hope we will go together further. Actually, next presentation will be from my side. Yeah, I always introduced myself in the beginning. My name is Christian Böttger. I'm the Global Sales Director of SIMETRA company, and I would like to present now a bit about our company, the leader in the field of intelligent transport systems and transport modeling and planning here in Russian-speaking countries. I hope my presentation is now, you can see my presentation, and would like to start to present her. So yeah, hopefully it will work. As I said, we are a Russian-based company. And we are focusing on all what is about transport modeling, planning, and ITS. And so I would like to introduce first the main very interesting figures from our company. So we did 5 regional national models. We are working more than 15 years in the field of transport modeling, which is a part of ITS. We have done more than 200 transport flow modeling projects. And at the moment, we are about 50 specialists in the field of engineering, economy, programmers, mathematicians, and road design. Our most complex, large-scale, and innovative project that we did in our approach and in our previous years is first of all the model of St. Petersburg agglomeration, which we did to introduce the first step of ITS for the city of St. Petersburg. As I told, it's a city about the second biggest city in Russia with about 6 million inhabitants. We did the same projects and with some updates for the agglomeration of the Moscow region, which is the biggest city, or together with Istanbul, the biggest city here in Europe, is about in agglomeration about 50 million inhabitants. We did a lot of interesting pedestrian modeling for the Olympic Games 2014 in Sochi. We prepared a transport model for the governmental company Avtodor, who is dealing with toll roads in Russia. And last but not least, we prepared the national transport model of the Russian Federation to manage mainly freight flows, developing of corridors for freight flows in Russia for the Ministry of Transport. All started in 2004 when we opened office in St. Petersburg and did in 2007 the first transport model of a big city of St. Petersburg. In 2009, we prepared this first model, and it was one of the first biggest model ever in this walk, the software from the German company PTV of pedestrian modeling. In 2011, we did our first project for toll roads, and now we have a very big portfolio in this direction. 2014, we opened our office in Moscow because we had to be close to our client, the city of Moscow, to prepare models for the dynamic transport model and for the ITS of Moscow. In 2018, we prepared the national model for the Ministry of Transport in Russia. In 2019, we registered our own software in Russia for transport management system. About this system, you will get some presentations later. So the profile of our business is transport planning, IT solutions, research in transport, localization, promotion, and software sales of software, German software, and our own software. And last but not least, ITS, very important. We are dealing with data, we are processing data, we are analyzing this data, we are selling data. Our team, which I'm proud of, and the map of our projects, which we did in the last years. So you can see that we covered all of the huge country, Russia. So we did projects in the very far east, Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, and even in the far western part, like St. Petersburg. But as I told earlier, we are working not only in Russia, but as well in other Russian-speaking countries like Kazakhstan. So we did projects in the biggest city of Kazakhstan, Almaty. We did projects in Uzbekistan, Estonia, and Ukraine, Georgia, Azerbaijan. But even we have now some experience in projects in the Middle East region. We did transport modeling projects for Doha and Dubai. So we are even in the same cities like our previous speaker, some projects. But why I'm telling such much about transport planning, if actually the conference is about traffic management, I would like to show this dependency by this graph. So you have the standard transport master planning projects for urban areas, for cities that are standard projects here in Russia and in Europe, and I suppose even as well in India, we have this kind of transport master planning when we have a strategic planning in cities. And this transport master planning almost always contains local decisions like traffic light optimizations, like pedestrian modeling, like toll roads, and all this stuff which I told earlier, which we have experience in. And this information, this flow information pedestrians, public transport, private transport, toll roads, is very important. The input information for a good traffic management system, because all together is using transport models to predict the traffic situation, to have to fill up gaps of informations by transport modelists. To fill up informations which we are not getting out from detectors also, or floating car data in the network. And to make a good online traffic management, you need a compulsory a good transport model, which you will prepare as well for the transport master plan, as well as for toll roads, for traffic light optimization. So let's show our experience in this field. So we developed transport models, as I said, for master plans, for example, for urban traffic management centers, for public transport, to establish urban traffic management centers, to develop modern decision support tools for city authorities. So we are delivering models to the city authorities to that they have the possibility or by its own find decisions to go the right way, to have less congestions in the city. Preparing measurements for open transport system development, like changes in routes or in timetables of public transport. These kind of projects, just preparing transport models, as I earlier said, we did for Moscow in 2012. There's a couple of updates in the last almost 10 years. And for example, the national model of Russia, but we did projects, prepared transport model for a lot of other cities in Russia, and not only in Russia. Further, as I said, we are preparing transport master plans for urban transport planning of cities or region or agglomerations. It's always as the model is just a tool which is used to calculate impacts of measurements which are offered in transport master plans. We are using this model, and we are by this way finding the best way to improve public transport, to improve private transport, to improve pedestrian zones, to improve bicycle infrastructure. The result you get in urban traffic management centers. You will have a good tool to make decision how to go the right way to develop the city, that you have less congested areas in the cities, and to develop these measurements. This kind of project we did a couple of years ago for the former capital of Kazakhstan, city of Almaty. That's a 2.5 million agglomeration. We did this kind of projects for Chelyabinsk. That's in the capital of the Ural Mountains in the middle of Russia. 1.5 million metropolis with a lot of interesting. There's a lot of trouble and transport situation which have to be solved, and there we presented our measurements to improve the transport situation in the next 10 years. And for not so large scale cities like the capital of the Chechnya region, Grozny, not a very big city, it's 500,000, 300,000 inhabitants city. But even this kind of cities, they need transport master plans, and we in this transport master plans we offer to implement, of course, ITS system for the city later on as one of the important measurements to manage transport situation for cities. It's the same for public transport planning. So you need transport models, and you need this kind of projects for evaluation of current and forecast passenger flows, to create and update route networks, to calculate direct socioeconomic impacts, like the CAPEX, and to develop master plans where public transport is one part of it. The result, you get increased speed of passenger trips, more optimized, for example, interchanges, more optimized route networks, optimized for passengers as well as for the operators. And finally, I mean, that's most important for the city authorities. We improve the attractiveness of public transport for citizens for the city, so that you will get a better balance between using the transport infrastructure for passengers and private transport. This kind of project we did for the city of Krasnodar, that's city in the south of Russia, near to the Black Sea, 1.5 million inhabitants in the area, or 700,000 inhabitant city like Orenburg in the Ural Mountains. Further, I told already about toll road solutions. So we are determining the optimum tariffs for toll roads. We are estimating the demand elasticity on changing the tariffs. What happens if, in which steps you should increase or decrease the tariffs. And that's important. I mean, we are helping the banks to prepare financial models of the income generation. And that's these calculations we hand over to the operators. We are doing, of course, traffic forecasts. So you know, the traffic flows are directly in a picture of the income. And we are preparing recommendations for developing of toll plazas equipment. So how many lanes you need, how many, what are the delays and so on. These kind of projects we did for the model, we did for the federal operator here in Russia, Avtodor. That's a governmental company. We prepared a model for them to do these kind of calculations by its own, though they are operating the model by itself. We have the Odintsova bypass, it's Moscow region, actually the first very big toll road in Russia, and the Western high-speed diameter in St. Petersburg as well, and inner city toll road in Russia. And last, in this flow directions, of course, the pedestrians, you can calculate capacity of objects of for evacuation situations on this security check-in points to make a better proposal how to prepare this infrastructure. We did this kind of projects for the Astana Expo 2007. This was a World Expo, how the infrastructure for the pedestrians, for the visitors should be, looks like, and that it really works. We could see when we were there in 2017. We prepared such kind of calculations for train stations like Moscow-Kazan train station, and the same for shopping malls. And as I showed in the picture in the beginning, the traffic master plans and ITS, they are always linked through traffic organization, so you can manage the traffic situation and online as well as strategical by preparing better traffic organization, traffic lights, by coordinated traffic lights, and you will get improvement of the performance of junctions of traffic lights by 10-20%. So this kind of project we did in Moscow and Chelyabinsk and St. Petersburg. We had a project very interesting. And last, I mean, but I will beginning to hand over to my colleagues, which I will now talking about our solutions in transport management, and is our software delivery and data delivery. We are working together with TomTom. We will get a presentation later. And we have our own software for transport management, written Cube called. My colleague Andrea and Artyom will show a bit closer these ITS solutions. And but we have this as well, the software to prepare transport models, the German PTV product Visum and Visum. I know in India as well, it's used quite often for transport modeling. And as you know, as I was told, the strategical model is the beginning of the ITS. So we are preparing these As well, we are preparing traffic light optimization with the German products Tomtom, Lisa Plus, and Ines, which is you need to prepare traffic signal programs, to prepare adaptive traffic light signal programs, and our own products are written. At this point, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Andre, who will tell you more about our ITS digital platform, Written Cube, and the implementations that we already have done with this product. So, Andre, I hope you are ready with your presentation and can show about the written solution.
Yes, Christian, thank you. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
Go on.
So I started my presentation, and I will continue, as Christian said, our speech about our own software, which is called Written Cube. Written Cube is a software, a digital platform for ITS, which is created in our mind, as we think, as a system to help users plan, manage, control, and model different regions, cities in the one unified software. So let's go further. The first slide, just to make some impression, you know, it's a presentation of a dynamic transport model, which we did in 2017 in Moscow, and it was presented for president and to administration of Russian Federation. So if we speak about ITS, Intelligent Transport Systems, first of all, we should define some definition of that. So if we speak about ITS, the purpose of it is to provide the required mobility to population through adaptive control, through different services, information systems, and so on. So I was once asked what is the main word in these three words, ITS. If we should define that, then I would say that it is intelligence. And what is intelligence? It is ability to adapt to new situations, to different events, and so on. So if we speak about intelligence and intelligent transport systems, we should speak about adaptive control. And what do we control? What do we manage if we speak about ITS? It's not just some separate objects. It's not like just infrastructure. It should be in a whole, you know, unified. So we speak about the mobility, the control of mobility, mobility of transportation of passengers, goods, and so on. And to manage something, we should somehow foresee it or forecast it. And here comes a transport model as a core of the system, or a model of mobility, which helps us to forecast and calculate different scenarios based on it to understand mobility, current mobility and future mobility. So going to our software, Written Cube, when we started to develop it, we put into it three main ideas or aspects. So the first one, as I already mentioned, it's a transport model, and it's multimodal transport model as the core of all the modules and tools in the platform. So it leads us to the second key idea, that it should have a unified database in terms of all the transport data should be gathered inside one database, connected with all the connections between different types of data sources. For example, we do not speak about detectors or sensors, just having only coordinates. We link them to network graph of a model, and so we do with every type of source data we have. And the third one idea is cross-platform access, like a modern access to our system. If we speak about ITS, and as Christian said before, ITS should be closely connected or even include transport planning. So it should be the one whole cycle where all the processes are connected with each other. And we made such a scheme, which you see now on the screen, where we try to show how it should be done as we see. So the first step in transport infrastructure planning is planning, which is based on model analysis, scenario calculations, data processing, and so on. And on that stage, we plan some KPIs, which we want to assess at some time. Then when we have a plan, we go to monitoring and control. And on that stage, we have an online computation of current traffic situation and forecast of it, and also analysis, which give us some facts to correlate what we planned and what is happening now. That KPIs which we had on the previous stage. And the last step is management. So we control and manage different situations through information, through direct control like traffic signal planning and so on. And this cycle should be closed one to connect all the stages all together. And we want to implement it and already implement it in many steps in one software. So if we speak about integration and forecasting modeling, this slide will help me to explain that. In the center of the slide, we have three main models. The two first one models on the slide, transport model and adaptive online model, are those models which we use now in our system. And the last one, the model of mobility, is a model which is often called in scientific papers like system optimum. So if we are looking a little bit further in our future, when we have autonomous vehicles, this type of models, system optimum, will help us make the optimal routes for all the system altogether and all the vehicles. So going back to the first two models, we speak about transport model as a user optimum for strategic planning. And when we speak about adaptive online model, this is model which is used on the step of monitoring and control to forecast current situation and short-term forecast for about an hour further. And for all of that, we use different data sources, process them using model, forecast, and then we can give that information into traffic control systems, into mobile systems of users, and so on and so on. Here we see the functional model for frequent tube. So we have four main models. It's transport modeling and forecasts as a core. It's vehicle monitoring and management, also web GIS and control center. So these four models combine altogether the system, but they consist of different components inside them. Here you can see the map of frequent tube clients, which already use some part of the systems. This is mostly Russia, but also some CIS countries, as you can see. So now I will speak a little bit more about functional models, which we have. The first one is coordinated traffic management. So here you can see screenshots from the system. We implemented several integrations with Russian control manufacturers, and we are also open to integrate different open interfaces to that. So what the main idea? The main idea is first to implement web interface for traffic lights management and to link that, connect that data with traffic model, transport model, to give ability to coordinate work on the city region borders and to use data from model forecasts into traffic light optimization. If you're going further, we have model for public transportation. This model is mostly for creation of public transport network, editing of it, so routes, stops, schedule, and so on, to monitor the public transport on the route and to analyze it. Again, all these routes, stops, and so on are connected to the transport model network to use it in forecasts and on the same network graph. We have WebGIS, or as we call it in Russia, online master plan. This model is mostly used to create, edit, visualize different GIS objects which show the city plans of transport infrastructure development. So we can input data of implementation of such events or transport infrastructure development, and use time schedule to understand when which event will happen, what are the characteristics of that events, and so on. Transportation planning and road science editor helps us to maintain road signs, different accidents, events, which are short-term events, again connected to the transport network, to use it in transport forecasts and to change characteristics of network links, graph, and to use it in modeling. We also have monitoring of vehicles. It's a model for tracking of different goods, vehicles, their characteristics, tracks on the network, and to compare each other, to analyze geozones, which we pass through, and so on. So the standard way of analyzing fleet management. The model for forecasts, there are different situations where we use it. So the base one is for dynamic transport assignment and to real-time forecast in dynamic what will happen in a 1 hour. And also we use it to combine different sources of data and assess impact of different events, incidents, or changes in the city or agglomeration. So one of the last, I think, models is a traffic control center. It's a dashboard component where you can see data aggregated from different external systems, visualized on the map and also in widgets to understand the current status of all the systems, all the hardware, software, and what is happening on our transport network. So it is highly customizable and can be triggered for customers' needs in different situations. I think that's all what I wanted to tell you. Thank you very much for your time. And Christian, I'm giving back to you.
Andres, thank you very much for very detailed, concrete presentation about system written. There are no questions yet in the chat, so I think we can go over now to our next presentation, which will actually just detailize the presentation of Andrei a bit more about one project which we had delivered 2 years ago to the city of Chelyabinsk in the Ural Mountains. Yeah, I showed you actually in my presentation. So I would like now to hand over the presentation to Artyom Bravko. He's project manager in SIMETRA, and he will show us the presentation application of written cube in the traffic control center for management of the traffic situation in the city of Chelyabinsk. So please, Artyom, it's your turn.
Hello, everybody. Once again, greetings to all the participants of the webinar. And as Christian told you, I'm going to give a presentation about the implementation of the traffic control center model of written cube system at the scale of millionaire city of Chelyabinsk. So let's go. But first of all, before we start, I would like to tell you some words about the national politics in the field of transport. So this is partially overlap with the first speaker. As we remember, he told us that for many years, the field of transport in Russia was almost deprived of government attention for many years. But later on, the situation has changed, and the first steps on the field were focused mostly on the infrastructure renovation, on the road repairment, and just, let's say, 10 years ago, the first ITS projects started in Russia, mostly in Moscow, because as a capital city, Moscow adopted these international practices first in Russia. But recently the situation has changed, and the government issued a decree, and the national project of the Russian Federation called Safe and High Quality Roads started. So this project has several directions, and one of the key directions within this project is devoted to ITS. So there was a statement that, according to this decree, that implementation of ITS in every agglomeration with more than 300,000 inhabitants within the country. So every city, let's say of moderate size, has to have an ITS system for traffic management by the end of the current decade. So altogether, there are 75 such agglomerations in Russia. And according to the document, 22 of them should already have their ITS systems implemented by year 2024. Okay, let's speak about the case of Chelyabinsk and what is the city of Chelyabinsk itself? What are the specifications for this city? Well, this city is located in the southern Ural region in Russia, and it has about 1.6 million population in there. It has a large area and about more than 2,000 kilometers of roads. Also, Chelyabinsk is famous for its industry, like different weaponries, metal industry, and so on. But as any other Russian city in the province, it has poor state of public transportation. It has poor quality of road infrastructure. And another big issue for the city is the unfinished metro construction. 30 years ago it started, but due to the lack of financial opportunities, it was frozen. And now, as I know, the authorities don't want to finish this construction, and instead of metro, there will be some kind of speed tram. Also, the congestion and the traffic jams are big problems for Chelyabinsk, because according to the ranking, it hosts the 7th place. So it's the 7th most congested agglomeration in Russia, while being only 9th most populated. So we see that traffic jams are likely to occur in this city. Well, in order to manage transport system well, you have to have some center. And prior to implementation of the rhythm in Chelyabinsk, there was a quick response center for the traffic management, which was mostly focused on the traffic light regulation. So it has a big video wall consisting of plenty of screens, and you can see on the picture. So it's quite inconvenient to work with this wall, because each screen has its own data. It's hard to combine everything together to make an efficient decision making. So at the moment of, let's say, 2 years ago, according to this decree of the government, the Chelyabinsk authorities decided to, so they asked our company to provide them an innovative system for effective transport management in the city, because they faced a lot of difficulties with their own, let's say, version 1 center. So it was it was clear for everybody that you have to increase the decision-making abilities in this center. So you have to have only a single interface for receiving the whole data and to process it. Also, you need the authorities told us that they needed a strong prediction tool. So not only working with the real-time data, but to forecast in order to increase the management performance. So at December 2019, SIMETRA started this project in Chelyabinsk. So it was an implementation of the traffic control center model of RITM in Chelyabinsk, and the work itself commenced with the data acquisition. Also, there was a creation of the interactive layout of this center interface. All this data in the interface was coordinated with the authorities, of course, and we did some work on integration of systems for online data transfer from different sources, from different external sources into RITM. And finally, based on all this work, some kind of final model, final layout on this basis was built. And of course, during this work, we faced some problems and issues. First of all, of course, if you want to build a good ITS system, you have to provide an effective data integration into your system from external systems. It's a must, because the data transition should be fast, because otherwise you cannot really talk about the real-time management. And of course, initially, not all types of data was included in the initial layout. So we decided to implement a single universal data block structure, where we can combine all the requirements together. So having this proper structure, we can create a traffic control center of any complexity and scale. And we actually we made a project. We built this block structure for this traffic control center. On the screen, you can see this diagram. So there are many components which together build this traffic control center. So you have visualization tools, you have data processing tools, you have analytic tools in there. So all together, combined, is a traffic control center. As the outcome of the work, the city of Chelyabinsk received the traffic control center based on our RITM. And you can see here an overall view. So we have the GIS map, the master plan of the Chelyabinsk and its outskirts. And of course, you have some data in time. You can see the weather conditions. Underneath, you can You have a widget panel where you can find all the widgets and analytical tools embedded in there. On the top side, you have these buttons which you can activate, and this is actually buttons for different layers. So let's go through all of them and concern them in details. So first is the road engineering layer. What is this? Actually, this is a layer which you activate, and you can, while activating this layer, you can do monitoring, tracking, and analysis of the fleet of road engineering vehicles. There is also statistics. So there is a split between different service providers within the city. So you can find there the statistics related to any group, and you can track any vehicle inside the city. The next one we discuss is the traffic lights layer. As you saw on the previous slides, so this big diagram, the GIS map of the city, there are places where the traffic lights are located, and you can see on the traffic light widget, you can see the overall statistics about the objects operating in the city. So if something happens to a single unit, you will immediately see it on the interface. So you can manage the problem just within a seconds. So we see these statistics. And also what is quite interesting, you can switch to any unit and you can see the design of the junction in there. So to analyze the situation there. And with this layer, you can analyze the overall status of traffic lights in the city. So this is quite convenient. The next layer we discuss is the public transport. So here, again, you have all the fleet of the public transportation in the city. In real time, you can switch to any unit and follow the tracking. You have a statistics of the vehicles on the route divided by the type of transportation. So buses, minibuses, trams, trolley buses, and it's all visualized on the screen. Here on the screen, you can see, for example, that orange units are highly dense here and the blue one there. So it means that the fleet park is located there. So it's very fun, wonderful picture. It's very convenient. You can do real-time tracking, and according to my opinion, it's really convenient for efficient managing. Again, if something is happening, you will immediately see, and you will be able to notice the situation and to apply any decision regarding this. Another layer is the cameras. Again, we have the network of the cameras located all around the city. You have statistics of operated cameras. What is more important, you can switch to any of them and you will immediately see from the different angle, for example, the desired junction. So you can see the situation in there. For example, if some accident occurred, you will see it immediately, and the emergency services can be called automatically. So again, it's very important for road security. Another layer is weather monitoring. So again, we have several stations monitoring the weather conditions, and they are displayed on the screen. Also, there is a layer for events monitoring. Again, if there is some accident or road work, everything will be shown on the screen. as well as other planned traffic development projects. For example, you know that in certain street there is a project for some changing in traffic conditions. Some project is being developed, and in the traffic control center, you can switch on the indication of this project, so the operator can see what other changes are about to be applied for the certain street. So to conclude this presentation, let's again describe the main advantages of the such traffic control center realized in written. So first of all, you have a huge number of functional blocks. They show perfect flexibility. So this structure overall can provide an efficient work with the data you collect. And this data may be of any type and origin. So the visualization is perfect and it's very convenient, and it makes comfort real-time data analysis using this interface. And this is just qualitative parameters, but numbers say everything. So according to the statistics, during these 2 years, let's say, if we speak about this current year, 2021, we already observed that the road congestion decreased by 8% to year 2020. And the number of traffic accidents decreased almost by 20% during the first 10 months of this current year. What is important more, that the written system can provide some tools for deep analysis, for machine learning, so what I mean is that all the accidents are collected in the system, all the information, their location, their conditions. So not only the decreased number of the accidents is important, but that those accidents are further analyzed to change the traffic control in this location to improve the security in future. So there are many advantages, and this presentation could be much longer, but according to the reglement, I think it's enough for today. So thank you very much again, everybody, for this opportunity to share the experience between the countries. So I thank you. And if you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think we can see that implementation of ITS functionality really can help cities to improve the traffic situation, and you can see it on this dedicated example of the city of Chelyabinsk and this implementation. And I'm sure the same our colleagues from India can show for their projects of implementation in their cities. So now we have our last presentation, which will show our partner from the quite well-known company TomTom, Jaron Brower. So we are working together with them. We are using the data from TomTom for our ITS implementations. And we are sure, and we know that even that TomTom data in India might be as well quite interesting to use, especially if, I mean, we have the same situation in Russia as I think in India about detector infrastructure, sensor infrastructure that is quite difficult to get good data out from sensors. And so actually the data out from floating car data or this kind of service like TomTom might be really be a good opportunity to get data for ITS solutions. So Jaron, I hope you can hear us and we can hear you.
Yes, hello, Christian.
Hello, Jaron.
Great
So
to be here.
please, I think, start your presentation. As I understand, I can see your presentation. So yeah, it's now your.
Perfect. Then let's go. So thank you very much for Systema to invite us to the webinar. And hello, everyone in India and Russia who is watching. My name is Jeroen Brouwer. I'm manager of custom program management within TomTom. I have a background in traffic engineering. So as you can imagine, the content of this entire webinar is extremely interesting to me. In this 20 minutes, I will give you a quick introduction in the world of floating car data, what kind of solutions you can make out of that, and different use cases around the world where this is already applied, hopefully giving you some inspiration to everything that's possible. Well, before I go into floating car data, just quickly, who is TomTom? Because you might know TomTom from the past as a consumer company, but TomTom made in the last 10 years quite a big change. We really went from a business to consumer company to a business to business company, specialized in mobility and digital maps. Nowadays, you can find TomTom embedded in many different smartphone apps and cars, but you don't see the brand TomTom. And that's because we made quite a significant change in strategy. Well, first of all, TomTom, the fuel of this company is data. I can really say this is a big data company. And to give you an idea, I have a little movie. This is for Amsterdam, but just imagine the technology works exactly the same in both India and in Russia. Because what we do as TomTom is that we collect floating car data. We collect GPS data from moving devices. And what you see in this movie is in the historic center of Amsterdam, you can see all the devices moving around. All of the data that TomTom is collecting is completely anonymized to make sure that we respect the European privacy law, but still we can obtain some really interesting information. And the basis is quite simple. So people drive around with a connected car, with a smartphone app or a navigation device, and every second it stores your GPS position. That GPS position is shared with TomTom. We can map match it, and based on that, we know the speed and the travel time throughout all the road segments, which we use for real-time solutions, for analytic solutions, but also to update our digital map. So yeah, I think TomTom is really a big data company, but just collecting the data, that's not so interesting. It's what you do with it. Well, to give you some more insight, where does the data come from, is to explain quickly that TomTom is built into 3 pillars. We have automotive, enterprise, and consumer. Well, consumer is the old TomTom. It still exists. We still deliver navigation devices, and we build smartphone apps. For example, the Go Mobile and Amigo app. Amigo is a free app used for navigation. But the other solutions that we provide are for automotive and enterprise. So with automotive, you need to think about customers like BMW and Daimler taking our digital maps and traffic information and embed that in their dashboard for navigation purposes. It's not TomTom branded, but it's hidden kind of behind this behind the screen. And with enterprise, we mean that we also deliver and receive data from companies in fleet management industry, but also ride hailing. Uber, Microsoft are customers of TomTom using our digital maps and traffic data, but we get data back as well. So from all the 3 pillars, we constantly receive GPS data to power our solutions. And as you can imagine, when we talk about a lot of data, some numbers, we deliver our traffic services in 80 different countries, obviously including India and Russia. In total, we have about 600 million devices that contribute to our traffic services in the 80 countries. And if we accumulate all the distance that we collect every day, we can go to Mars 9 times a day. So it's really a lot of data that we receive. Well, that's all interesting. I think this is more interesting because when we capture all of the data and we put it over a black sheet, so this is not a map, this is a black sheet where we put all the GPS data, you can nicely see that we capture data everywhere where people use connected services, connected cars. So here in India, you can see the more red the color is, the more data is captured. So you can perfectly see all the cities like New Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune. It's all indicated red, means there's a high density of data collected. But also outside the urban areas, we collect data. So you can see we nicely cover all regions in India. Well, the fact that we collect data is fun. We can make pretty pictures, but it's about what you do with it. And one of the things we do with it is make traffic index. So this is a yearly overview whereby we benchmark all of the big cities around the world. And what we do is we look at the drive times in the middle of the night and we compare it with the drive times in rush hour. So based on that, we get a pretty good idea about how congested is a city. Well, this is the overview about 2020, which we published earlier this year. And what you can see is that 3 cities, Mumbai, Bangalore, and New Delhi, are part of the top 10 of most congested cities in the world. And if I take Mumbai, then you see the average congestion level of 53%. So what that means is that an average trip in Mumbai in rush hour takes you 53% more time than doing the same trip in the middle of the night at ideal driving conditions. As you can see, Moscow is actually the most congested to this overview, but Mumbai, Bogota, and Manila are actually really close as well. Of course, due to the pandemic, 2020 already shows differences to 2019, which is pre-COVID. But yet, I think this means there's some work to do in India to bring this congestion level down. The fact that India has 3 cities in the top 10 is not good. That should definitely become better. And we have some interesting solutions we can offer together with Systema. Well, let's discuss that a bit in detail. Before I talk about traffic, just quickly, I explained about GPS data. We make this interesting traffic index with it. But to give you a quick sneak peek, is what we do with it is, first of all, we make maps with all that GPS data. So when we see lots of cars driving over streets that's not in our digital map, it automatically starts changing an intersection into a roundabout or adding geometry. So this allows that we can update our digital map weekly to really make sure it's up to date. We use it to deliver state-of-the-art navigation software, not the topic of today, but a key part for our automotive colleagues. We make traffic information, real-time historic, and we'll go into detail there. And we have different layers for automated driving. So of course, an automated vehicle or partly automated vehicle has lots of sensors, but it also needs a highly accurate digital map, lane counts, and what have you, to make sure that it can position the vehicle as detailed as possible so it can perform all of the functions that are needed. Well, let's go a bit into detail about real-time traffic. Let me now show you my most techy slide of the presentation, so don't worry about it. But this is the TomTom Traffic Fusion engine. And to explain, this all started in 2007 when we launched the traffic service in the Netherlands. That was the first country. That Fusion engine evolved in all of the years further and further, adding new sources, adding new algorithms, adding artificial intelligence to a state where it's today, where we deliver it in 80 different countries around the world. Well, to give you the high level overview, on the left side, you see the inputs. In the middle, you see the Fusion engine. And on the right side, you see the solutions that come out of it. So let's start with input data. Of course, I spoke about GPS data or probe data, as we call it. Of course, that's a very important part of our Fusion engine. And what we do is we map match all of the GPS data to our map. We filter things out. We filter duplicated devices out and what have you. And then that's a base layer whereby we know the speed throughout the road network. What we add on top of that is that we also have historical speed profile. So we know also from a historical point of view what the speeds should be. We started to use sensor-derived observations. So these are cameras that are in the vehicle that are capturing, for example, road signs or roadwork messages. We use journalistic data. This normally comes from government saying, hey, this road will be closed as of tonight, or there's an accident here and there are 2 lanes closed. That's information we receive from official sources. And we use community input. So I mentioned the TomTom Amigo app, which is a free smartphone app. But when you use it, you can also report a hazardous location or set of roadworks. And all of the input that people give directly goes into the Fusion engine. So inside the Fusion engine, we mix all of that source data together. We validate it, we enrich it, we ignore it, depending on where it comes from, and then we make something out of it. And to give you one example is, throughout the world, we receive many road closure messages, but with our GPS data, we can check if that road closure is really there. Sometimes we receive a road closure message, but the road is not closed at all. So then we remove it, or sometimes the position is not really right. Or actually, most of the times, we don't get it reported, but we measure that all of a sudden there's no GPS data anymore. So after a while, we say, well, then the road is probably closed. So we proactively close it automatically in our Fusion engine. And the same we do with roadworks. And of course, that's also how all the jams work. So we receive the data and precisely define where's the traffic jam. Well, what comes out of it? 2 products that are relevant here. Let me actually show you. One product is what we call traffic incidents. So traffic incidents provides you information about the jam. So position, delay time, length. So you see one example there, one Indian example, a short jam of 800 meters with 4 minutes of delay. But there's also information there about roadworks, about road closures, about hazardous locations, etc. This information is typically used in navigation devices, right? So you're not interested if there's nothing to report, but you're interested if there's a delay, because then you can update the estimated time of arrival, or you can even change the route if needed. What's interesting here for traffic management purposes is that we also have turn-specific traffic jams. So let's say there's a jam on that street, but it's actually only for traffic that turns left at the intersection. Well, in that case, we kind of make sure that it's only used if you turn left, and if you go straight on, you don't use it. We also have jam tail warnings. So when there is a traffic jam, the speed in the tail of the traffic jam is really slow, but the speed of the traffic approaching is really high, then we issue an extra alert, because the most nasty accidents happen in that tail of the traffic jam. So we issue an extra alert saying there's not just a traffic jam there, but it has a dangerous traffic jam. This traffic solution is mainly used in logistics, in navigation, in asset management kind of solutions. The other product we make out of it is what we call traffic flow. And traffic flow is not just about traffic jams, it's actually reporting the state of the entire network, also when it's in free flow condition. I know it's a bit tiny, but you can see there one example in New Delhi, whereby you see for the tiny road segment, you can see current speed is 25 kilometers an hour, free flow conditions at 33, you see the current travel time and the historical travel time, the free flow travel time, and you see a quality indicator. Because of course we report what's the quality of that information. If we have many GPS devices, but they all show a different speed, then the standard deviation is high, so the confidence is a bit lower. Or maybe in the middle of the night, there are not that many traces, and then we also report a lower quality indicator. This solution is typically used by traffic centers because they want to know the state of the entire network, maybe of the highway, but also the diversion routes, etc. So then this solution comes into play. So traffic incidents, traffic flow, the 2 key products there. Well, to give you a quick, I don't know, it's pretty full slide, but these are different customers of our traffic service. Using many automotive brands that use it in their dashboard. But maybe for this webinar, what's interesting is to highlight some of the more governmental users. Maybe one example is the Autobahn. This is a German entity responsible for the management of all the Autobahns, all the motorways in Germany. And they use the real-time traffic data from TomTom to run their traffic operation center. But they also use our historical analysis to kind of measure the performance of the key routes in Germany. Another customer of us is the city of Brussels. They changed the speed limit from 50 kilometers an hour to 30 kilometers an hour, and they use the historical data from TomTom to assess the impact. Many people complain about it, but they use this data to kind of understand, like, is the complaint valid, or is it like a perception of someone rather than proven by data? But also a fun fact, in Brussels, they deployed pop-up bicycle lanes because of COVID to allow for more social distancing. So they sacrificed some roads, lanes for a bicycle path, and they're now evaluating with the TomTom data, what was the impact? Are we going to make it permanent or not, etc. But we also have other customers like Maine DOT, the state of Maine in the US, or the city of Frankfurt and Düsseldorf that use the traffic data in their traffic management center to run their daily operations. What's important to mention here, and that's why we're on this webinar, is TomTom has all of these solutions for 80 different countries. But as Ayush Agrawal already mentioned in his webinar, traffic management also means a lot of customization to make it tailored to the needs of the specific city. And this is why we work with local partners who really understand the market and the request from the end customer in order to deliver the data. So what we already saw in the other presentations is knowing about the state of the traffic is great, but you also want to know the state of the traffic signals and the weather stations. And I think the beauty is that you kind of embed the traffic data with the other sources to have a common operational picture and to run out of that. Well, to wrap up my presentation, I want to show you one latest innovation we added. It's a new solution. It's called Junction Analytics. It's a solution whereby you can measure the performance of a junction with or without traffic lights based on GPS data. The solution is really intended to be mixed with hardware, with infrastructure data. It has an API, and yeah, well, let me actually quickly give you some examples. So first of all, you set up the junction, very simple, by drawing a little bounding box over the junction, so you know each approaching road and each exit. So in this case, you see a very simple New Delhi intersection, 4 approaches, 4 exits. Well, then when it's running, you can actually start monitoring for each arm of that intersection some key attributes. What's the delay? What's the queue length? And this is important, right? Because with the sensors, with the video or the loops, you have a horizon of maybe 100, 200 meters, but sometimes the queue is 500, 600 meters long. With floating car data, we can actually capture that. Also, if there's no loops or camera at all, we can still capture what's the delay. We also look at what's the average stop. So how often does a vehicle need to stop before passing through the intersection? And we also look at the number of vehicles and, most interesting, turn ratios. So out of that intersection, how many % goes left, straight on, and right? We update this in real time. We also have a little history. So what you see on the left side is an intersection where you nicely see the delay time for one specific arm. You can see in the middle of the night, it's quiet, but in the rush hour, it's delays up to 260 seconds. And it allows for very interesting new solutions. For example, optimizing a traffic model based on actual turn ratios. Yeah, one last example here. This is an intersection here in the Netherlands where I'm based. This is actually not an intersection. This is a junction, sorry, a roundabout without traffic signals. And the beauty of floating car data is you capture data everywhere. So also on locations where there's not even a traffic light, but people complain about it, we can now measure easily what the problem is. And in this case, we could see that a Friday in the afternoon rush hour, the queue length was about 800 meters for this roundabout. So it really allows for better performance of locations where there's no hardware, and you can prove it. Well, anyway, that's the latest innovation. For more information, please get in touch with SIMETRA. I want to thank you for this brief presentation, and curious if there are any questions.
Jaron, thank you very much for your presentation. Yeah, we can see actually that Russia and India, they are a good case for implementing ITS solutions, because we are on the top of the most congested cities, and some cities from Russia I saw on the list, and you mentioned the 3 cities from, or 4 cities from India. So there's still a lot to do for us, and I think taking account the lack of hardware in our region, and it's difficult to maintenance them, and I suppose in India it's the same situation. That's a good idea to use more of this data which you provide, and I mean, we have already running some pilot projects by using TomTom data, and hopefully we will soon implement it. And I hope in India we will find as well to gather some cases to implement this data. It would be very nice. Unfortunately, no questions yet in the chat. So I would say thank you very much for your presentation. I hope you don't mind if we will share this data or this video stream to all interested people, so that they can see it again and connect you and or us to get some further information. Yeah, thank you very much, Jaron. And thank you very much actually to all presenters of our first common Russian-Indian conference, online conference on ITS. I hope we had now set a first stone to start our work together, and maybe the conference for Association of Transport Engineers, we will get some more presentations from Indian speakers, and the other way around. Maybe for Indian speakers, it got more interested to get some presentations from Russia in Indian conferences, from TomTom and Indian conferences. So we are open of all kind of cooperation. So thank you very much for participating, and I hope that will be not the last time when we saw here each other on this form of conference. So thank you very much, and have a good evening, have a good afternoon. See you soon. Goodbye.